Hello, my friends, and welcome to Italy, a place to love YouTube channel, the channel where I like to talk about the good, the bad, and all we have to know about Italy. All right, my friends, so today's video it's the continuation of my yesterday's video, which it was the anti-American sentiment. All right, if in Italy there's any anti-American sentiment, but today I want to switch the topic to the anti-immigration sentiment. So not only American related, but so if in Italy there's any anti-immigration sentiments towards any nationalities. All right, and why today I'm trying to open in this topic towards all the world, towards all the nationalities that are coming to Italy, because anyway, I got few interesting comments under my yesterday's video. And so, why not to read, because even if there weren't many comments, but the few that I got were quite interesting. So, I would start reading the comments, all right, and then discussing with you a kind of reaction, analyzing from my perspective that I'm Italian, that I'm living in Italy, that I'm back to Italy and so on. But so anyway, before I start the video, please put like and subscribe. It helps my channel to grow if you like this type of contents. And then if you want, you can join my Facebook group called Italy, a place to love. But so let's enter into the topic of the video. Now, I got the very first comment I got was quite interesting because my feeling was like who wrote this comment was probably the one who wrote the post on Facebook in the group Expats Living in Italy. But this is just my guess. This person didn't say anyway. I'm just wondering, nothing serious. But I want to read with you this comment. So, having lived in Italy for some time, so this person has an experience in Italy, I can say that there is definitely an anti-immigrant sentiment. And so that's why I wanted to open the topic I wanted to open the topic about the anti-immigration sentiment, anti-immigrant sentiment. And anyone, no matter what their skin color, is lumped into the immigrant bucket and subject to prejudice. All right, I found it interesting that many Italians couldn't even recognize an American accent. Okay, this is the funniest part of the comment for me. An American accent versus British, for example. Uh, all right, I will go back later. On an individual basis, no real bias against American. On an individual basis, yeah, there's no really an anti-American sentiment against American. However, I find that Italians have crazy ideas about America. That's interesting. That's interesting. That Italians have crazy idea about America. We make too much money. I find this very. I mean, we make too much money. Well, we work much harder and don't take 2 months vacation. The entire country is polluted. I think she refers to Italy. So I find that Italians have crazy. The entire country is polluted. We like weak coffee. We are racist. So this is okay. This is what Italians are thinking about Americans. So that all United States is a polluted country. That you like weak coffee. That you are racist. I saw, but these are BS anyway. Again, we cannot generalize. I saw the worst instances of outright racism in Milan that I've never seen in the USA. Plus, their TV is whitewashed and so on. Okay, a few things to say. This comment is quite interesting. Anyway, I would go back by saying to ask one question: why an Italian that is a native Italian speaker, which shouldn't speak English at all because we are in Italy, we are in our own country, all right? Why we should understand if the English you're speaking, if it is English American or is English British or is English Irish. I don't understand this, why someone pretends to be recognized by the accent. I mean, in Italy, we don't speak English. Even people who study English barely speak English. I mean, how can we recognize an accent? So actually, I would recommend to all the expats who are coming to Italy, to all the foreigners, native English speakers that are coming to Italy, I would highly recommend to try to speak without an accent, like this Italian can understand you better. This is my advice. This is my recommendation. In case you want to travel to Italy, leave your accent, where you're from. I'm joking, but it's the truth. But it's the truth because we barely speak English. So for most of the Italians, if there's an Irish, I give you the example of an Irish because I'm very familiar with that accent. I can understand. Personally, me, I understand any type of accent. I don't mind if you're Scottish, Northern Ireland, Australian, New Zealand, American. Me, okay. I'm familiar with all the accents, but an average Italian who barely speak English, believe me, please put an effort to speak an English without accent. All right, okay. So an Irish who is coming to Italy, try to speak English as plain as possible, grammarly correct, without accent, in the way that Italian, if you are not Italian speaker, can understand you a bit better, and there's communication. All right. Don't get offended. I think I didn't say anything, controversial. Okay, crazy ideas about America. Okay, Americans are working harder. I believe Americans are spending much more money than Italians. That's for sure, we don't have this thing that we constantly have to spend money. That's why we can afford to not work or even to have 2-3 months holidays, simply because the less you spend, the less money you need, so you can afford to enjoy more your life. This is the Italian philosophy. Now, I represent this philosophy at the highest level, okay, because obviously I try to cut all the expenses that I don't need, all the things that I don't need, simply to have more holidays as possible and to work as less as possible. This is my philosophy. I think it's the opposite of the American, who probably have to have 3 jobs, to spend all the money that they want to spend and to repay back the credit card debts, which is a very common thing. I'm watching reaction about the American debts every day, sometimes just for fun too, because from an Italian perspective, it's quite crazy to see that people might have 10, 15, 20,000, 50,000, $100,000 in credit card debts. So, all right, close this chapter. And okay, so Italians think Americans are racist. Probably this is true. This is bias. This is a kind of, I can agree with this. So, but Italians are quite racist. Okay, no, let's put it like that Italians are racist. Let's put it just like that to start. But obviously, we are in a country that starts seeing foreigners or immigrants only in the last 30 years. In my childhood, I don't remember seeing. It's only since 1990, 1992 that I started seeing immigrants coming to Italy. But in 1992, I was 15 years old. 1991, I was 14. I don't remember one immigrant before 1990. So it's something that Italians are still digesting. That's why a lot of Italians, I'd say maybe 50%, may still not accept that anyway, immigrants came, immigrants established, Immigrants open businesses. Immigrants are even living better than some Italians. It's something that a lot of Italians are still not able to accept. All right. So and saw instances of outright racism in Milan that I never seen in the USA. Because anyway, the United States is a country made of immigrants, as far as I know. There's not an American who is American apart the native Indian Americans. This, I think, is something that American should accept as a statement. Maybe I'm wrong. Let me know under the comment section. But I consider that all the Americans are immigrants apart the native, and that's why I think in the American mentality is much more common thing, to see different people around you. I guess that this is normal. That's why, for me, it's probably true that there is less racism in the United States than in Italy, even if there are stereotypes and bias about that America, United States is a racist country. But this I just bias. I guess that there is more racism probably here in Italy, simply because people still have to adapt. Before 1990, in Italy, we had strong racism towards the Southern Italian. I witnessed this on my skin because I was born in the north of Italy, and we had a word to discriminate the southern Italians, who were called terroni. Okay, terroni, terra means soil, ground. So, and southern Italian were always called terroni. Was a normal thing in the 60s and in the 70s in Italy, in one country, to not rent properties in the north of Italy to the southern Italians, for example. Still a lot of stereotypes about the mafia and so on. All these are all the things that I witnessed in my childhood. But okay, let's read a few more comments now. Someone said, Antonio, you describe it perfectly. You lived in Ireland for a long time, and 99% of local people were nice and 1% not nice. I said this, and this is the statistics that I witnessed while I was in Ireland. No matter what country you travel, you will meet an unpleasant local, always guaranteed. So I like this comment because it's a normal thing, it's a common thing. We are all different again. There could be someone who accepts foreigners and is more open minded, and there is the one who feels like foreigners are stealing something from us. This, I think it's a natural, maybe it's a particular thing in Italy, maybe in France, in UK, is different because they were used to of the immigration much before than Italy. I'm saying again, in Italy only from 1990 we started having immigration, while in UK, in France, or in Germany they started having immigration much earlier, much before. So there are foreigners, second, third generation, who are more integrated. That are integrated in the British society, even if I see a lot of anti-immigration protests going on in UK at the moment. So what's going on in UK? Let me know under the comment section. Or in Ireland, for example. But Ireland, it's similar to Italy, because Ireland, before 1990, I believe that most of the Irish never seen a foreigner. It's only from 1990. It's a trend that started from the early 90s in a lot of countries in Europe to start witnessing immigration. Like Greece, I believe Greece before, there were only Greek people. Spain, Portugal, there were only, maybe Portugal a bit more because the Brazilian and a few other countries from Africa, like Angola, they had the connections. Maybe Spain, I don't know, there were South Americans. But let's say Italy, Greece, which other countries? Maybe Germany didn't have much before 1990. Then Scandinavian and Northern European country didn't have any immigration at all. Or Ireland, again, it's only something from the early 90s that started. Then Another comment here with that says, I've seen both while here, while in Italy. No matter where you go, there is going to be a mix of everything. Absolutely. I totally agree. Doesn't matter where you go, you might find someone polite and nice towards immigrants, and you might find the one that is against. Obviously, again, I want to bring to the attention the fact that in some countries we are reaching the boiling point. Again, the anti-immigration protests in UK or in Ireland, a lot of people are disappointed with this illegal immigration, or Spain or Portugal or Italy or Greece or Germany. There is a kind of sentiment, anti-immigration sentiment all over Europe. This, I have to be honest, I mean, it's the reality. Again, there should be a better regulation. We know that all the turmoil, all the chaotic situation in the world is also pushing people to leave their countries, their origin countries, let's say from Africa, from South America, from Asia, wherever people are living in difficulties. I mean, try to put yourself, again, it's not me that I have to solve this problem, but it's not easy. It's not an easy problem to solve. Then, so I'm an American and I live in Trentino, Alto Adige. So this American is living in the northern part of Italy, the one at the border with Germany, with Austria, sorry. I have not experienced any anti-American sentiment in Italy because I know there's no anti-American sentiment unless, I don't know, you really meet the wrong one, or I don't know, to seriously, to say what this person have experienced, to say that this person felt an anti-American sentiment. I don't know. I still find hard what type of contact. I don't know what to say, but anyway, again, I have only been here since May, but so far everyone is so friendly. Okay, I can say maybe to go a bit against this is that okay, in the beginning, everyone may look friendly, then you might start seeing the real face of the people, but no, overall, again, Italians are more racist in theory than in practice. In the reality, believe me, I see Italians helping more. Even someone who pretends to be anti-immigrant and racist, you might see even that person helping an immigrant. Believe me, you might witness this because Italians, anyway, have a sweetheart. We are not generally aggressive people. What I can say about Italy, actually, let's say a point in favor of this anti-immigration sentiment, that the situation in the cities is tough. I say in particular in Rome, Florence, Milan, Turin, the big cities, mainly in the north of Italy, because life is getting tougher for the Italians. I'd say that this might reflect also an anti-immigrant sentiment. Then, when you see immigration misbehaving in the cities, this causes a kind of discomfort for the Italian people who might see drug dealers, prostitution, and I don't know, many awful things that are happening in the cities, homelessness, crime. So if we analyze all these things, and these things are mainly in the cities, I believe that yes, this could be, if you are in the cities in Italy, you might witness, for example, an anti-immigrant sentiment. You might, like in the first comment that I read, when this person says, "I saw the worst instances of outright racism in Milan that I've never seen in the USA." Probably it is. Probably it's true. I mean, I already said before. Plus, their TV is very whitewashed. Okay, the TV is whitewashed because, again, the majority of the people in Italy are Italian, and even if through a kind of agenda, they're trying to smoothing the situation. There is this trend of switching, of making Italy a multicultural country. I mean, from this point of view, I see it, this trend for the last 35 years, all right? So, but still, and if this person is saying that the TV is very whitewashed, this person should have seen the television 30 years ago, 35 years ago. What would they have said? Gosh, I mean, believe me, in Italy, you could have seen pure racism in the Italian television. I mean, 30, 35 years ago, and not even called it racism, just simply called something. Okay, things are like this. I mean, there's no discrimination. For example, I remember many TV series in my childhood where, I don't know, there was the person doing the cleanings in the house, for example, of a wealthy family, having a foreigner accent, speaking Italian, not with not as Italians are speaking, but with this kind of or African accent or Asian accent, depends where they were originally from. And if you do it today, that TV program would be banned. So things are changing from the 70s, from the 80s. It's like when in the television you could have seen people smoking, and nowadays it's banned. Obviously, things are changing, and so on. This is the reality that we are living. Now, to close the video, let's say that I think there is an anti-immigrant sentiment like everywhere else not like everywhere else in the world, but like many other countries in Europe in particular. Again, situation is getting tougher because the financial situation is not the best, because it's also connected with the financial situation. So obviously, the worse is going the economy, the worse is going the financial situation overall, the higher are the chances that we might have this kind of discrimination and racism events, which people might not even be happy or like, but it's simply because all the problems usually born from a financial situation. Even the divorce may sometimes more often happen when a couple are splitting, when there is a huge financial problem in the family, and this also it's not every case, but mainly there is this trend that people, when they have financial difficulties, couples, they tend to split, for example. All right, anyway, I've done my today's video, my friends. I hope you have enjoyed this chat with Antonio. And anyway, I'll see you here on Italy, a Place to Love YouTube channel to my next video. Bye.